Today we're talking about a problem that, maybe at first glance, seems a little abstract, but it's very real for the people it affects. The mission of Help A Subgenius sheds light on something called energy vampires. It's a term that describes individuals, or sometimes larger forces, that exploit creativity and energy from people in extraordinary ways, leaving their victims in profound distress. It's really a unique angle on exploitation, and it can leave devastating scars. So imagine this for a moment. You're someone who's spent your life creating art, music, big ideas. You've poured your heart into it, right? And then one by one, you're robbed of that effort. Gone. Not just your intellectual work, like your art or your inventions, but even your personal security. You lose possessions, even your home. Eventually, you're left in a terrible spot. Homeless, dealing with the aftermath of trauma, battling health issues. The stories coming from this group are honestly heartbreaking. We're talking about people who end up institutionalized, some incarcerated because of the ripple effects of losing everything. And there's this emotional toll. Depression, anxiety, it all sets in. It's not hard to see why. But here's where we come back to energy vampires. What are they exactly? At their core, they're people. Or, well, even systems that prey on creative individuals. They take advantage of their ideas, their generosity. And this isn't just a catchy term. Through research and awareness campaigns, the organization has shown how deliberate, systematic this kind of exploitation can be. And when you pull back the curtain, you see just how targeted it is. It's these creative minds, these subgeniuses, who are attacked because their talents make them vulnerable. Their brilliance becomes a resource to steal, which, is devastating. For the victims, it's like their entire identity has been drained. So that's the backdrop here. A mix of creativity, exploitation, and resilience. It's a huge part of why this documentary project is so important. These stories need to be told. But as we'll see, they also need justice and recovery to rebuild what was taken from them. Alright, so we've covered the immense struggles subgeniuses face when targeted by energy vampires. Now, let's talk about recovery. This isn't just about getting back what's been lost. It's about rebuilding lives and creating paths forward. And the team behind Help A Subgenius has done some incredible work here. So far, they've helped more than 200 subgeniuses push through these deeply challenging circumstances. 200 lives touched by programs that provide not just immediate relief, but also a sense of hope and, the tools to reclaim their futures. And on top of that, they've completed over 10 projects aimed at long-term impact. These range from awareness campaigns about exploitation to very targeted recovery initiatives. One of the big reasons they're able to do this work is the support they receive through donations. Platforms like PayPal, GiveSendGo, and GoFundMe have been critical here. Every dollar helps fund everything from individual recovery plans to larger projects. And these aren't small undertakings. When you think about it, recovering from trauma and theft on this scale takes a lot of resources. And that's where the emphasis on mental health comes in. A big part of this recovery effort is dealing with the emotional and psychological fallout. Things like debilitating depression and PTSD. It's not just about supporting the physical day-to-day needs, but addressing the mental health struggles that overwhelm so many of these victims. We're talking therapy, support groups, overall systems that make coping, and eventually thriving, even possible. Because without this focus, they're still left to carry the weight of their experiences, even after basic needs are met. It's such an important piece of the recovery puzzle. So, let's talk about why storytelling matters so much in the fight against energy vampires. This documentary that's in the works, it goes beyond just telling a story. It's about shining a light on exploitation, showing the world the human cost, and holding those responsible accountable. Storytelling has always been one of the most powerful tools we have. It cuts through the noise, makes people stop and listen. In this case, it takes the experience of one individual, someone who's lost everything to theft and manipulation, and creates a narrative that can move the needle toward justice, toward change. And here's the thing, awareness and advocacy can't exist in a vacuum. They need a community behind them, people like us, who can recognize why this matters. Every story that gets told, every campaign that spreads awareness, has the power to ripple outward and empower others to speak up, to demand better systems, safer spaces, and real accountability. And when we back these efforts, like the documentary, we're not just helping one person reclaim their life. We're laying a foundation, one where subgeniuses, or anyone targeted by exploitation, can know their voice has power. And that's what makes this so inspiring. You know? Seeing how advocacy through storytelling can rebuild lives and also challenge the systems that allow this kind of harm to happen in the first place. So when we look at all these moving pieces, recovery, justice, storytelling, it all boils down to this idea of resilience. It's about not just surviving, but pushing forward, finding strength in the face of what's been taken, and making sure the future looks a little brighter for the next person who faces something similar. And on that note, that's all for today. Thanks for listening, and remember, you can be a part of this movement. Every voice, every contribution matters. Until next time, stay aware, stay inspired.